Stonk market Squid Games, green day, and today was the red day. And if you didn't stop in your tracks, if you were thinking the market was going higher, you got mowed down. That's the theme of the Squid Games show. And today it was the theme of the markets. And who's sponsored? Who's the producer of this show right now on Wall Street? Well, I'm going to tell you that's got to be Trump's doing. And we are moving towards Wednesday, April 2nd, Tariff Day. Now, the big question is whether or not Trump will de-escalate World War Tariff, but I'm going to ask the question, why would he want to? He's already explained to us all what he's trying to accomplish, and that's to force the Fed to lower rates. Problem is, this is a high-stakes game, and the Fed is pushing up against bad data telling him that he needs to hold those rates higher for longer. What's the bad data? Well, today we got the PCE, and what did it tell us? It told us that inflation was up. What else did we get today? Well, we got the revised Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report, and what did it tell us? It told us that bullishness was down. The consumer wasn't confident right now. So inflation up, confidence down, tariffs on Wednesday, April 2nd. And why did the markets go down today? Well, it had to price in the uncertainty as to what exactly is the producer of this Stonk show giving us right now, which is a market that has to go into decline. I want to remind you what I said about the ICO from BlackRock. He said good companies, winners in 2023 and 2024, they're just going to have to be drawn down. People are unwinding and de-risking their position, but I can tell you that the entire thing can turn on a dime. I want to reiterate what I said in yesterday's video. I believe that we will make a lower low across the board. Now, I was actually anticipating that we would remain in this relief rally, remain in a choppy environment, and that we would continue to go higher till we got closer to the two big news events that are going to drive the market. The one is Wednesday next week, April 2nd. It's World War Tariff Day, and the second is going to be April 10th, which is going to be the CPI data that gets released for March, and then that's going to be where the Fed is going to take his stand, and it's either going to be a dovish or hawkish position, and we're either going to get mowed down again, or the market's going to flip on a dime and we're going to go higher. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that this has not been an investor's market. This is something I talked about in December when I said about the current bull rally of 2023 and 2024. I said it is over. I warned that we were getting ready to go into a season of stock price reevaluation, and that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing market leaders flipped upside down. Nvidia, I'm going to take you into that chart today. I'm going to let you know what I see. I'm going to give you some bounce zones for some companies that we've been keeping an eye on, as well as the overall general market. I think that you'll find this interesting. We're going to talk about the developments that occurred in the last 24 hours on Bitcoin. That chart is definitely talking and telling us all where it's going to take it and the altcoins next, which I think it's going to lead the market, which means we're going to see what we're probably going to get on Monday. We're going to see that first over the weekend in the alts and in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Of course, Ethereum's just never had much of a rally in this last bull cycle, but that's a story for another day. This is the Stocks with Josh show. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to tell you straight up that in the midst of this turmoil, the Stocks with Josh community, in my pro trading community called ChartGoat University, we've been crushing it. Why have we crushed it? Well, I've been leading with strong technical direction each and every day, and we're simply taking the trade and we're taking the direction of either the breakdown or the breakup. Now, I live traded today, and right out of the gate, I don't know what the GAT is or the GIAT. That's a whole other topic. Right out of the gate, I took some puts on a company called BloFin. This was a great winner in 2023 and 2024. It was a darling of Wall Street. People loved this company as it continued to climb and climb and climb. They just had their earnings the other day, and they did something that you really don't want to be doing in a stonk market. They gave bad earnings, they missed earnings, and they gave bad forward guidance, and the stock got absolutely punished. Now, my bias when I set it up as a trade for today was that we might actually see a little bit of bounce, assuming that that smackdown was too much of an overreaction. Well, that's not what Wall Street had in mind, and we took the break of price to the downside. It literally, in like seconds, it was 65, 67% up. I was stumbling with my fingers to try to get to the sell button, sold it, and then it kind of settled down for a little bit, and the market cooled off. An incredible win right out of the gate. It was hard for people to get a hold of it, but some who were prepared and keeping an eye on it and watching the break of price, they got it with me. Then we entered into some SPY puts, and those absolutely printed, and I didn't hold them long enough, right? Because my game plan is largely to take a large position and to take a small percentage profit consistently. And so while the market just bled off the rest of the day, I sat back, I was working on other things, but obviously there were people making 100, 200, 300% as this market bled off. Now, if you are not making those kind of returns and your money's locked up, right? I give a lot of advice in these trade sessions. I talk about how to get yourself positioned so that you can begin to make money and not be tormented by the Stonk market Squid games. Days, red day, green day. You're not sure whether you should move or hold still. You're paralyzed. You know the show, right? Well, a lot of people should have been jumping on these puts, but they were paralyzed, not knowing which direction the market was going to go, whether it was going to turn around and go green. Today, it stayed red the whole day, all the way down after markets bleeding off. I'm going to take you into the S&P 500. We're going to look at the big picture view. We're going to look at just the 15-minute chart as well, because the 15-minute chart says something interesting. The Nvidia chart says something interesting. Now, I want to highlight this. When we recently tested the Nvidia low down to $105, I took a position right around 108 that turned out to be a huge winner. Matter of fact, it was the most profitable single trade that I've taken this year so far. It was an incredible winning trade. I took a position on Nvidia and Tesla, and it was Nvidia that actually paid the most. Now, I want to try to reduplicate that, right? So I'm going to be watching that chart very carefully. I'm going to give you my opinion on it and let you know where I think the best entry will be and how exactly I'm going to approach it, because I would love to make another return like I had recently made off of Nvidia's bounce. Now, I talked about it the last 2 days that Nvidia was not doing the heavy lifting of pulling the market up. It was doing the heavy dragging the market down. It really has changed character on us. In the technicals, it's referred to as a change of character. Nvidia is not pumping the markets. They're pulling them down right now. And so we want to be careful that we get in at the right spot. I'm going to be talking about long-term investing. We're talking about short-term investing. This is the Stocks with Josh show. Come and join us in the Chart Goat University to get help with taking the trade, right? We've got a breakup and a breakdown scenario. And one of the most important things that you can do is try to eliminate your bias. Now, you're going to look at the bias from the perspective of the charts, but you've got to be able to be just like in the Squid games. If it's time to stop, you got to stop. If it's time to run, you got to run. You just can't do whatever you want on Wall Street, because on days like this, if you're bullish, you'll just get run down. So come and join us. I'm going to leave a link in the top pinned comment. The website is www.stockswithjosh.com. Okay, let me just take you real quick. I'm going to take you right into the SPY, and I want to go over a few things. First thing I want to point out to you is obviously this was a day where we barely back tested the 9 EMA. Now, normally on a downtrending day, you'll see it bounce repeatedly against the 9. It fell almost all day without backtesting the 9 on the 15-minute time frame, which tells you that it's going to be a pretty ugly day. And then when it attempted towards the end of the day for a little bit of relief, it didn't get it, and it just continued to drop. Now, what am I seeing? Well, when price is lower, but momentum is building up and getting higher on both the MACD and the RSI, this is called bullish divergence. Now, I want to point out that it's only bullish divergence in a smaller time frame, okay? We also have the biggest candle of the day was right here at the close, and it was a giant green candle, which means that quite a few people took a call position or a risk position preparing for Monday to be a move to the upside. So I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. Some of you might be all geared up for a massive bearish move on Monday, and I would think that that would be justified. But this is another reason why I wanted to show you guys that when you follow the technicals, sometimes the technicals go against the grain. Now, I want to take a step back and look at the big picture view of the SPY. Okay, so we had this relief rally going, and I told you that we would be in it for as long as we stayed within the channel, that the market would be basically telling us that it could continue to climb, right? But the truth is, this morning, we broke out of the channel, and we are halfway or more than halfway down to our local lows. So this is a very bearish setup. Down below, we see the MACD is curling back down, and the RSI is still above its recent oversold moment, but this momentum has shifted and moved, rejecting off of the 50% line. It's shifting and moving back to the downside. Now, let me just give you these comments on the SPY. We've got a break of structure, check. On high volume, check, means more downturn. We've got the MACD crossing down below the zero line, which is right down here. That means more down room. And then the last thing is called candle theory, which we look at the wicks. And the last candle we got here has no buyers at the bottom, no wick, right? That means that we are likely going to see a continuation move to the downside. And so this is not a market where you really wanted to take a ton of risk. I showed you that bullish divergence on the smaller time frame, but if you take a step back and you look at the big picture view, everything about the technicals ended with a bearish overtone. We're talking price direction, we're talking strength, which is measured by the volume, and we're talking momentum indicators, which talks about the acceleration. All of them said we've got more room down, which means you don't want to, in this environment, attempt to catch the falling knife. You've got to let the market settle down before jumping in. That's my big message for you today. Now, we were in a relief rally up until today, right? And we got utterly kicked out of it, thrown out the door. Stonk market Squid Games. The market's not taking any chances. It's what that BlackRock CIO said. He said, good companies, it's a shame. We're going to have to sell them. All right, let's quickly look over Tesla, Nvidia, and Bitcoin, and then I'm going to wrap this up because this one's, I don't want this to be a super long video. Let's go check out the charts. Okay. Tesla is interesting, and I have to talk about it today because I just want to comment that this is actually a little bit more bullish chart than everything else. I talked about this yesterday, that price was moving to the upside. This is actually somewhat of a bullish descending channel that it's essentially still in, and these typically break higher, not lower. And the interesting thing is that while this was going up, okay, while price was going up, volume was going up as well. And so there's some confluence there. Interestingly, even though we're getting a little bit of a curl over or contraction of the MACD lines, the fact is they're still technically pointing up, whereas we just looked at the SPY was clearly pointing down and it already crossed over. And similarly, when you come down here to the RSI, you see that we're working off of a buy signal, an oversold condition on the daily time frame. And even though we've come back, and it's likely that we'll come back a little bit more, this is somewhat of a bullish chart when you look at the local time frame. It's at least, I won't call it a bullish chart. Someone's like, Josh, you're crazy. It's not a bullish chart. I would agree. It's not a bullish chart. I would just tell you that it's showing relative strength compared to the SPY and compared to Nvidia, compared to Amazon and Meta today. It's going a little bit against the grain, even though it came down with the market. To me, I see some bullishness in it. And what does that tell me, and what is the point I'm trying to make? Well, it could be that when this thing was up at $480 and it came down faster and harder than everything else, it could be that we're going to be forming a little bit of a bottom, and some of the risk of it dropping beneath $200 has come off the table. We may stay above. We may come back right now and test 240 if the market continues to downtrend towards April 2nd, towards Wednesday. However, I think that this is one which may hold up better and may be an early buy candidate. That's just my opinion. I have to talk about a couple interesting news stories on Tesla. Tesla sales decline in Europe amid political controversies. What controversy are we talking about? You know, Elon's always cooking up controversies. He's a very controversial fellow. Tesla sales in Europe dropped by 40% in February. That's an unbelievably bad number. 40% in February compared to the previous year, even as overall electric vehicle sales rose by 26%. So EV sales were strong in Europe and Tesla's dropped by 40%. How this guy, as the CEO of this global company, gets away with all of the things he's doing other than running Tesla. I know that people love him. I know that people hate him. But I'm just telling you, as a shareholder, I think that, and I think in the end, I think he's going to cause this company to go higher. But, you know, it's hard not to be a little bit miffed at Elon when you know that it's his mouth that's causing your pocketbook to go down. Having said that, I tend to make a ton of money trading Tesla. So I can't default him. I love the liquidity and the drama of the Tesla stock. Let me know if you feel that way with your Tesla shares. So in response to all of this negativity, the decreased sales in Europe, we've also seen Teslas of all kinds, as well as the showrooms, get attacked here in the United States. I saw a video of a big dude on a ATV just plowing into Teslas at a dealership. And as a result, the FBI has formed a task force to investigate threats against Tesla. The task force aims to address the increasing incidence of violence and vandalism targeting Tesla's facilities and vehicles, which may have been classified as domestic terrorism. Boy, it's really good when you're rich and you have powerful friends. We'll just leave it right there. Let me just give you the bottom line with the Tesla chart. Overall trend is bearish, but it's showing relative strength compared to its peers, perhaps because it sold off faster and harder earlier. And so now the rest of the Magnificent Seven is catching up and Tesla is closer to where it may bottom out or find its ultimate support. Now, I had predicted that we could run up to 300. We hit 292. I'm actually going to consider that a solid win. Some people will be laughing at me. I think it's close enough. We tested a higher range than most people thought, and I think that that was it. A lot of things fell short of their technical resistance, and things broke down very quickly because people are fearful. They're going to sell early right now. They're going to sell early. Remember, Squid Game, some of you haven't seen it. Others have. These characters, they're trying to compete to get some money, and the ones that don't stop when they're supposed to, they get fired down on by this character. And so what is happening right now in my Squid Game analogy is that Wall Street is playing it cautious. They're taking less risk. They're stopping sooner when they see the red light. They are freezing in their tracks, right? And if anybody moves before the little girl thing turns her head around, they're getting destroyed, which means that if anybody buys too early, they're getting destroyed. So I believe that Tesla will have likely pullback to around 255 to 260. That's the target pullback. And I believe that over the next, we'll say 2 weeks, we could see a consolidation zone between 255 and 275, which if you actually stopped and thought about it and considered the volume that I showed you and its relative strength, that's really not that bad. Let's see how it plays out. Okay, I have one more stock to cover. What is it that I want to show you on Nvidia? It's the opposite story. Okay, so first of all, yesterday we had that very, very ugly candle pointing to an additional further downturn today. I kind of predicted that. I will tell you that price has come down and so has the volume has been low when price originally had been going up. Okay, and now that price is coming down, we see down here, we see that volume is actually picking up. So if you guys were able to follow that, the bottom line is that this is showing greater weakness than other Magnificent Seven companies. And so I talked about the idea of possibly picking up a position early at 108, but ideal, optimal position would be closer to 105. Okay, so I'm going to wait till it gets down here, and I'm going to be watching the chart carefully to see if there's some buyers. Now, I'm going to share with you a chart pattern which has not materialized, but I'm seeing it on a lot of charts. I talked about it with the community today in the live trade session, and that's a W pattern, okay? A W pattern is actually a very bullish pattern. It's similar to a double bottom, right? But it offers a larger upside move, okay? And so if we do have a reversal moment down here at 105, it actually, and we came back and broke back above this 121, we would get a move all the way up to 140. And interestingly, long term, if we were to get above 140, then you would take the distance between this top and this bottom, and you would put it on the top of the W, and it would give you a future predictive price telling us that Nvidia could get to $185. So that's my game plan with Nvidia. I didn't feel very bearish on Tesla today, even though, like I said, I do believe it'll pull back. Let me give you guys, I can't remember whether I gave you the bounce zone for the SPY. I believe that we are very likely going to have to come down to right around 545. That's the only major support on the SPY right now. However, because we had that little bit of bullish divergence towards the end of the day, we got to watch for 552 to have a little bounce in the morning. There's a little clue for you guys of how I'm setting up the trade setups for tomorrow. We'll be looking at 552. Now, if it cuts through 552, we're going to have to go down to 545, but we're going to take it one level at a time. If you're a long-term investor, I'm telling you that I see opportunity in companies like Nvidia. These Wall Street guys have to de-risk, they have to unwind, and it will bring the price down. But I'm going to repeat something I've said in my recent video. I told everybody back in 2023 that when Tesla began to move, that it could move $100 in 30 days. And I'm going to tell you that we know that to be a fact because it did it. It actually went up $200 plus in just a very short window. So we know that when Wall Street wants to pick these positions back up, they can pick them up very, very quickly. Now, I personally think that this is a space where I'm interested in nibbling. I'm going to be looking more strategically for the plays which are going to produce me the biggest returns. I'm going to be basing those on breakout, breakdown, price crosses. That's the type of stuff that I'm going to drop in the Discord every single day. Now, I wanted to take a minute and show you all the various people that were having incredible wins today, but the video's gotten too long. You can come over and check it out on your own in the Stocks with Josh Discord in the wins channel. People definitely making money. And I think I'm convincing some people, I'm not sure if it's a good thing, how much Tesla can print. Tesla's a bucking bull, and I've been seeing a lot of people make a lot of money. Be careful. Make sure you're working a trade plan. Make sure you're using a stop loss. Never follow me on anything unless you have the stop loss discipline. And one of the biggest dynamics which is going to help you really explode your profit game is going to be learning how to manage your position size together with your stop loss strategy. We spent a lot of time talking about that in our long 2-3 hour live trade session today. Appreciate you guys joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful, restful weekend. We're going to do all this again next week, and I'm excited about what the market will give us. Yes, the relief rally has officially been broken today, technically. And yes, the overall market, as well as big tech, is pointing down. And yes, there were no buyers that came in. There was no buyers that stepped in on anything. Now, I didn't cover Bitcoin today. I'm going to have to leave it for a weekend Bitcoin video. But every single metrics that I would use to look at companies on the daily time frame chart, stocks and crypto, all of it ended bearish. And so, again, just like the Squid Game reference, make sure that you're not taking a position too early when it's red. Talk to you guys later. Peace and blessings. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.